Everybody, welcome back to another amazing episode of Diet Rebellion. Today, I'm joined by a good friend named Lindsay House. Lindsay's an author, she's a dietitian, a personal trainer, and an accountability coach with a deep passion for helping individuals create lasting, positive changes in their health and fitness journeys. Lindsay is a firm believer that we need to ditch the all or nothing mentality and celebrate the small daily efforts that truly lead to sustainable success. Sound familiar? Through her coaching, she teaches clients that the smallest changes compounded over time bring about the greatest transformations. Today's episode is a really special one. You're going to notice a lot of crossover between Lindsay and I. You're going to hear a lot of the same things that I teach and preach every day, but said in a different way, along with a few new things you may have never heard before. So get out your pen and paper, pay attention, turn up the volume, and enjoy today's episode with Lindsay and I. Welcome to Diet Rebellion, the podcast that's here to help you break free from the chains of dieting and finally take control of your health, strength, and confidence. I'm Joe Hoye, your host and the founder of Diet Detox. After transforming the lives of thousands of women over 40 who have been trapped in the endless diet cycle, I'm here to show you a new way, one that focuses on eating for your body's needs, restoring your metabolism, and rebuilding your strength for life. Get ready for real, no bullshit conversations, expert insights, and actionable strategies that empower you to live diet-free and thrive. It's time to stop restricting and start rebuilding. Join the rebellion. Your journey starts now. Lindsay House, welcome to Diet Rebellion. How are you?
Well, I'm amazing. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be in the hot seat. You have been on my podcast, Joe, and that was incredibly fun. And I've had you on twice now, and our community loves you. So thank you for the invite here.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. And super excited because number one, you and I align perfectly in how we think people should go about achieving these results and how to keep them forever. But you have a massive education that I don't, being that you're a registered dietitian. And so not only can you say like, hey, this is how I think things need to be done, but you understand the scientific background at a deep level, which I think is good because now you can explain it simply to others and help them create results. And I think it's something you're really good at. So that's why I brought you on, because I want to have you help me help our audience create some amazing results. And so what I want to back it up to is, how'd you get into this? Like, why did you choose the registered dietitian path in the first place?
I know that piece isn't that exciting just because I feel like we're all young when we go to college, right? And I just
Sure.
remember not knowing and sitting in this class and going, I love health. I love learning about health. So why not be a registered dietitian?
Yep.
But it was once I got into the journey and actually got into the hospitals and working with clients that I was like, I lucked out. I picked the perfect profession for me. And I know you're this way as well, but just that experience of having longevity with a client, with another human that you just like, you become so integrated in their journey and so vested. And it's just a neat relationship. I can't imagine not having these people in my life. They fill my soul.
I love that. Did you ever work in a hospital setting or anything like that as an RD?
I did. I actually started acute care and moved into outpatient. And outpatient was where I thought, oh, this is where I need to be because your patients come back to you. You get to
Yeah.
see their journey all the way through. So I'm a little unique because I've had the advantage of working in health clubs. At the same time, I was working part time and surgical weight loss. I did non surgical and surgical weight loss as a registered dietitian, did all their pre op nutrition as well as post op. So I've had kind of a unique experience in the sense that I've seen the vast array of journeys that can happen. I really believe that there's a place for everything because everyone's journey is so unique and different that I've never looked at something and said, you should never try or you should never do. Because for some people, it's their jump start that like lets the rest of their health just unfold, which so I don't know. I think it's just important to say that because a lot of people have experienced dietitians and felt like they've walked out and gone, they wanted to hand me something or they just believed one way. And there's another group of us out there who really are open minded and ready for this individual journey.
Yep. I love that. And I honestly couldn't agree more. I would almost make like RDs and chiropractors analogous in my opinion, because I don't like most chiropractors. And that's just my opinion. I mean, if you guys want to go ahead, I don't really care. But I don't like the idea of me going in, getting my bones cracked and smacked and like leaving. I've heard of too many people getting injured and it just like not working long term. And I've also had the same experience across the board on and off with different RDs, right? I've had some RDs where it's like, look, patient, it's my way or the highway. That's it. But then there's people like you, and there's people like my head coach, Kate, who's also an RD, and she came from a hospital setting. And it's like, look, there's no one size fits all statement for anyone in anything in life. And that's just how it goes. And so I think like the litmus test for seeing if somebody's great at anything is like, are they that way or not? And you're clearly not. I think you deliver amazing results and obviously know what you're talking about. I'm curious because Kate's journey was she worked in a hospital. She met me somehow. We got connected through online sources. And then I brought her onto the team. And she's way happier now, even though she felt like pretty similar to you, really. It'd almost be fun to have you both on the podcast at the same time because I think you'd click. But she was like, Joe, I really like being an RD. I like the hospital setting. I liked helping people. But in the hospital, I was limited to how I could help because they put these chains and these constraints around me on how I could do it. And I love working for you at Diet Detox now because we align. Like we mesh, you see the big picture and you're not over here putting constraints on me. Like we're doing it the right way. Do you find the same to be true for you in the hospital versus your business now?
Well, yes, 100%. And I believe because anytime you're working for somebody else, you're going to be targeted towards a certain, like you have diabetes educators.
Yeah.
I worked in surgical. So you're always in a lane, right? Where when you step outside and do your own business, we all naturally draw our own individuals. And I know that about you too. We get who we get because we draw them in,
Yeah.
whether we purposefully do it or accidentally. And what I noticed about my clientele is I really resonated and drew in a lot of that. I know what to do. I just need to do it individuals. And I was like, I like this space. And that's why I ended up actually calling myself an accountability coach versus dietitian or personal trainer because I really like holding people accountable. I feel like they kind of already know. No one's lacking knowledge who I work with. It's more of a what barriers are we unaware of that we can start to be sneaky and work around them to get some ultimate results.
I'm really curious about this. And you and I, this might be the first fist fight we ever have on the podcast. No, I'm kidding. But honestly, when people say, Joe, I know what to do. I just need to do it. I think that's bullshit. And I would love to hear your opinion, but here's my thought on it. Foundationally, yes, maybe somebody knows what to do. In order to lose weight, Joe, I usually need to drop my calories to a reasonably low number. I need to move my body a little bit more if I'm sedentary. Most of the food needs to be healthy. I need to sleep 7 to 8 hours a night and then ultimately just live a healthy life. Yeah, good. Like, I'm not going to disagree. But do you know how to do that for your life in a way that works for you, is enjoyable, and you can do long term? Because that's where I think the disconnect is in that statement, but I'd love to hear it from you.
No, thank you for opening up this conversation. We're not fist fighting. We're going to like geek out over it together.
For sure.
Is what's going to happen. I'm sure you've heard this Chinese proverb, but it's to know and not do is to not know. Have you heard it? So I'll say it
I
again.
haven't, but I like it. No, I like it.
Okay, to know and not do is to not know. So it kind of debunks what we just said about how everyone comes and says, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. And then this is what you stated. You actually kind of don't know what to do then. And it's not by anybody's fault. It's just that, like, if it was that easy, you'd already be doing it. So when we think of it this way, I like to talk about entry points, and I'll give some examples for your listeners because it'll make this conversation make so much sense. So if we have the individual, and this is a current client who goes, I packed my bag. I want to go to the gym. I know the gym's good for me and I'm just not going. And they're like, I know what I should do and I'm not doing it. In their head, they're going, I'm lazy. I need other accountability, blah, blah. They fill in their own blanks. Well, the coach, sits there and talks with them, asks enough questions. And what you end up digging and understanding is, hey, you're a mom and you have mom guilt because you've just been at work all day. And that's why you're not going to the gym. So the barrier was hidden underneath. And then when we work around the actual barrier, Now the mom can go pick up the kid from daycare, go to a mommy and me fitness class, get the workout in, and now they're no longer lazy. Now they're no longer too tired to go do the workout because that was never the barrier in the first place.
Yes, you nailed it.
Yeah.
I think that you and I are on the same page. I think that just our language and definitions of language change, right? Because like when I
Mhm.
see accountability in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to check in with someone and be like, hey, you ready to rock? Are you going to do it or did you do it? And you're here finding the core reason as to why it's difficult, right? I guess
Mhm.
both, I mean, I know both are certainly accountability, but no, actually, you and I agree completely.
I
I
knew we
love it.
would. I don't think there would be much that you and I would come to fist fight. I
Yeah, no,
can't
probably
think of
not.
any.
I don't think so. So I'm curious about this though, because Kate and I have talked about it a little bit. She had some experience, but as an RD in an outpatient setting or in the hospital, you said you worked in both non-surgical and surgical weight loss approaches. Are they any different? I know they are in some ways, but I guess how do they differ?
Well, okay. So I feel like with the surgical piece of it, I want to stand up for this community for a second, just since we're bringing it up, because a lot of
Sure.
people like to say it's the easy way out. Like they get a lot of feedback, and I love that you're shaking your head already. Like, Lord knows it's a tool. And so, working in the surgical piece, I was given the opportunity to work with this tool for this client that might have taken them from 15 medications down to two, within months. So it was like a quick, drastic, could get their joint pain feeling better, could get them off meds, whatnot. And then I feel like from the and by the way, and they still had to do all the exact same things that we ask any normal
Correct.
client to do, right? You got to work out. You have to figure out the eating piece. You have to figure out the mental piece, like psychology was built into all of that. So it was a really well done program. And then the non-surgical piece really is the same thing too. We're just not getting that quick jump start and there's always risk benefit. And obviously surgery always comes with its risk. So like I don't know. I would never tell anyone to jump too quickly into surgery. And then for the person who really needed it, I would never steer them completely away either. And I don't know if I'm fully answering your question, but
No, you're opening up a whole lot of other directions to go, which is cool. I think I could be wrong here. I don't know the data or have the observations like you probably do because I haven't worked with a ton of surgical weight loss patients. I have with some, but
Mhm.
I've seen less of them be successful than people that haven't had surgical weight loss. And there's two thoughts that I have on this. Number one, I think that some things just get harder, right? Because you and I are massively like the stop under eating people, right? But when you have
Mhm.
surgical weight loss, under eating
It's part of it.
for a lot of my experience is like pretty damn prominent because you now have a stomach that's half the size of what it was before. And so you're almost going to undereat all the time, which now we're talking about muscle loss and then we're talking about metabolism slowing down. And then we're talking about a whole lot of other things. So I think that can make it more difficult. But number two, I think that mentally it's harder because and correct me if I'm wrong here too, like speak up for this community, but I would think that sometimes people go into surgical weight loss thinking maybe this is almost a quick fix, right? And they underestimate the work that's going to have to be done post procedure. And so they're not ready mentally for it, but they're forced into it. And I think that can almost set up for failure too, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hey, it's your host, Joe Hoye, and we're going to get back to the podcast in just 1 second. But really quickly, I wanted to tell you about a new challenge that I just launched all around fat loss, doing it sustainably, and most importantly, teaching you to keep the weight off for the rest of your life simply. Now, in this challenge, there's no calorie counting, there's no food locking. I am personally going to build you your food and fitness programs as you sign up for the program so that as you enter inside of the 4-week coaching program with me, you have zero guesswork in terms of are you doing the right things for food and fitness and are you going to lose weight when you jump on the scale at the end of the week? All of those questions have been answered for you. I guarantee your progress. And the reason I did that is because we needed to simplify the food and fitness aspect so that you can now start focusing on the more important thing, the thing that's going to keep weight loss off forever. You, the person you are, your identity, your thoughts, behaviors, and actions that you make every single day that are either going to make or break your success long term. So if you're interested in that, go to the show notes, click on the very first link called reshape.hoyfit.com, and I'll see you in the next challenge. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a yes to yours and there's more, right? That can happen. And I think that insurance companies have done a nice job. There's this whole 6-month diet trial that
Yeah.
patients are supposed to do where we mandated they're seeing the psychologist, they're seeing the dietitian, they're going through classes, they're doing the show up. And some people thrive in it, and some of them got ticked. Like, I don't want to, they want to get surgery and get it done. But that's not the majority of the population. Like, the majority of the population comes in with a pretty deep why, right? Like, they're very, this is the rest of my life, and I'm not going to be well if I don't get this piece of my life under control. So it is a jump start when used appropriately. I think there is, yes, a set of population that comes in so grounded and has already started on the mental piece and the brain work. Of course, you're going to get your other individuals who can't help it. Like we were literally, like we talked about diets and being raised in diet mentalities, and it's another, like, the brain has been given a quick, like, this is going to work for you.
Yeah.
And to keep going with your question, on the flip side of surgery, there's a honeymoon phase where you're going to lose weight no matter what. You're going to lose weight no matter what you do. So then the pivotal point in their journey is when the plateaus start to happen. Are we pulling in all of our tools to make sure that our maintenance continues or our weight loss continues? And that's the point where I'm like, then the calories need to increase a little bit. And then the workouts need to make sure they're happening at that point. Like I had a patient come in who was training for a marathon and gaining weight, and her calories weren't enough. Like she had to
Yeah.
increase and that's scary to tell someone, and you do it all the time too. But I really feel like if we could get people past those weight plateaus and just continue to reinforce, just keep showing up to the habits, the resiliency, keep showing up, that they would get more sustainable results. But that piece is tricky because you've had the honeymoon phase, you've lost weight no matter what. And then you get scared and you're like, oh, I'm going to revert back to all my old habits. I'm going to revert back. My tool's no longer working. And you can see this with the GLP-1s too. I
Yeah.
don't know how much talk you have around that, but it's the same thing, like when a tool, we can really lean into a tool and forget that we need to use all of our other tools or it stops working.
Yep. Massively. I was almost going to make that analogy or connection. I'm curious, have you ever found somebody that went through the 6-month program? I don't even know if you would be working with them at this point, but they went through the 6-month program pre-procedure. They had results. They created the habits, lifestyle, thoughts, actions, and behaviors. And like leading up to the day of their procedure, they're like, you know what? I don't even think I need this anymore.
Maybe 10% out of all the. So yes, it happens. And there's actually a scare out of some patients that if they lose too much in the diet trial, that they'll no longer be eligible with surgery. So like that's kind of a
Self-sabotage.
little bit of an interesting thought too, like maybe if you can already dip under your number with the pre-surgical, then those are working for you, right? Then you maybe don't need, I don't know. Yeah, we have opened up a bag of worms for sure. But
I wish I knew about psychology because that is a really, really strange way of thinking. Hey, I have this thing that's working for me, but I think that the next thing's also going to work for me. So I'm going to stop making this first thing work.
okay. So, but the belief system is I've done other diets in my past and I have seen those two work for
Okay.
me and I have gained it back. So the surgery feels like a permanent fix where the pre-diet trial feels, and they're doing like liquid diets. So it's kind of a
Oh,
false, it's not just like the closer you get to surgery, you start doing more of the liquid piece because you have to for pre-op prep. But so there's a piece of that weight loss that's not tangible lifelong anyways, but
cool. Got it. You
it's
poked holes in my theory.
okay.
I love it. Thank you for that. Awesome. So now that we know that really at the end of the day, after the surgery, after the honeymoon phase, or if you don't even get the procedure, you're going to be doing the same shit because ultimately living a healthy lifestyle is true across the board for everyone. And it's the same thing as a generalized statement. So what do people need to be doing?
So you can tell me if you agree with this. It is the transitional piece always, right? It's the belief system of the changes in the show up, And how do we build the resiliency that we need for sustainability? I feel like those are the two that, if you want the secret sauce, listeners, like
Nice.
resiliency and show up, because those are the two things that don't happen when somebody ultimately starts to fall away. And I know that I'm like lump summing. There's so many little onion layers with all of this, but I really believe that if we can't screw up because it's life, like I want to believe that I can have some really whatever days, whatever vacation, and be able to jump right back on track. And that's what I want my clients to believe. I never want somebody to look at the rest of their life and be like, I have to function this certain way for the rest of my life. But I think it's cool to think as an 80-year-old, I'm still going to be lifting. I'm still going to be like showing up to my protein, to my water intake, all of that. That's a good litmus test to run through. And I know you do this too, but like if you can picture yourself doing it as an 80-year-old, 90-year-old, 100-year-old,
Yeah.
then you're on the right track. But you got to show up to it every day.
Not every day. Most days.
Not every day. Most things, most days.
Yes. Yeah, I love it. I couldn't agree more. And I like what you said. Like, I think if we zoom out far enough and we don't look at microscopic details, but we just simply zoom out, I think that blanket statement is true. Like, you do need to be resilient so that when shit gets hard, you still show up. And if you do that most of the time, you're going to win. I think that if you just do more good actions than you do bad actions, you're going to win. And I think that it's a scale, right? And so if the scale is like almost balanced, but it's tipping to the good side, well, you're going to win slowly. But if the scale is not balanced at all and the good side is heavily outweighing the bad, well, you're going to win a lot faster. But ultimately, it comes down to like how many times do you win versus how many times do you lose? And if lose triggers you, just change that word.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I love doing, I'll give this to your audience. I love sticky notes because when we talk about the show up factors, I love sticking each show up factor: water intake, move, do your meditation, stretch. And then they can look at their wall of stickies and just kind of pick what actually works in their day that day. Because most times people can show up, even in the most extreme, hard circumstances, to something like water or maybe to a gentle stretch versus that perfectionistic thinking that like I need to make all those sticky notes happen, which is false. And that's where like the everyday comment came from me. Like I think that when things are built in as habits, I was just on vacation in Costa Rica last week for spring break and was still able to fit in water, fit in movement, just because it was built into the vacation. But did I eat perfectly? No. Did I have some drinks? Yes. Like, please, I hope everybody can find balance in that and then be able to come back because that
I couldn't
feels
agree more.
sustainable.
Yeah. And I mean, just to your point, I believe you have a book out that's called Direction, Not Perfection. And so if there's anybody that's gonna be like, hey guys, we're not doing this every day, that's you. So I honestly, I haven't been through the book. I can tell you that I already like it based on the name, but can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yes, I think one big chapter that I would hope your listeners would take away is this whole idea of turning away from diet mentality. And then another one is really like rewriting the rules to your success. I just gave two different chapter titles, but I think if we cannot figure out how to better measure our success, get off the scale, and you can give your insight on all this too. But I'm sure you've seen so many of your clients have amazing weeks and they step on the scale and they find themselves to be a failure and they can't see all the other wins. And it like crushes my heart and soul because I'm like, if you could just see how amazing you're doing, you'd never fall off. You keep going. But that scale is just telling them something different. So I feel like it's just so important. We can't master what we don't measure. And so we have to find a better way of measuring our success so that we can continue to feel that accomplishment to keep going and build the resiliency.
I couldn't agree more, right? Because the scale is never actually something that defines success or failure. The scale's just it's a tool that we use to measure data. It's like if a carpenter was going to use a tape measure, like it's just giving us data for if we're doing the right thing, making the right cuts or not, right? Where can people find that book? Because I think that you just turned it into an audio book too, right?
I did. I finally, yes, it's on YouTube. I'm going to give you
Nice.
the link because if they go through your link, it's free and there'll be journaling prompts that come with it. And I'm really gently nudging or hardly pushing you to pen to paper because there's
Yeah.
questions in the journaling prompts like, is the scale for you a friend or foe? It gives you that moment to really sit and go, has the scale ever been kind to me? Or does it leave me feeling like lesser of a person? Does it manage my mood during the day? And when we can go back and even read our answers through our journey, we can see our growth or we can see our areas that are hard. I firmly believe in getting some stuff down on paper. And then it helps, like when your clients approach with you, then your coach can talk through these journal prompts as well. Just expedites the process. So your
Yeah.
listeners will have that link. The book is free for them. Yeah.
Toss that in the show notes. They'll get the prompts. That's amazing. And I like that you set it up so that, like if they were like, you know what, I really, really like what Lindsay has to say. I want to work with her later. Now you have those data points going forward on day one of like, hey, I understand who you are as a person at the core. And now I know how to make your program again, lifestyle friendly.
Yes. Yes. And don't you feel that way about podcasts, even that our listeners get to be these flies on the wall that you get to understand? Like as you and I in the beginning of this were talking about professionals can be hard sometimes. We can walk away from a dietitian feeling defeated, or we can walk away from a physician. I feel that way about name the profession. It can be a
Sure.
personal trainer hurt us. When we get to know them beforehand, we can see and feel if we resonate with them. And I love that about the podcast as well as like thinking through listening to an audiobook or journaling. There's this alignment that we can not waste time going through multiple coaches. We already know who we want.
I feel the same way. So I'm, as you know, and as probably most people know, I get on a lot of podcasts. And even from my perspective, a lot of times I'll like to put myself in the shoes of a client or a listener after the episode, or even during it, I'll do it subconsciously. I'm like, I wonder if I would like working with this person. And from the second I got on the show with you, this wasn't even my original thought, but the second I got on the show with you, it's like, yeah, like me and Lindsay would vibe. I would be comfortable enough to share information that would help me in return. So 1 point for you. But then I've also been on shows where like in the first 5 minutes, I'll just be like, holy shit, I would never ever work with this person.
So true, right? Like,
Yep.
or if you're the one recording, you're like, I don't know if I can air this. This might be a waste of time.
I
Yes.
have 3 of them banked that will not ever see the ears of my audience for sure.
Thank you
Bad
for the
too.
kind words. I appreciate it. I know because it's a waste of someone's time, right? You're like, I'm so sorry. I
Yeah,
don't know how I didn't catch this ahead of time. We've all done it.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I love it, Lindsay. You are clearly the very real deal. You have experience really with so many different walks of life and understand that as a general rule of thumb, if we zoom out, it's going to come down to 2 main things, resiliency and showing up. But as you zoom in, I think you also understand, hey, not everybody's the same. And not only that, people are completely different. So how do I make those 2 statements become true and live harmoniously? So kudos to you for being a coach that can create results with anybody that jives with you. And if somebody does want to jive with you or just simply spend some more time, where can they do that?
I would love for you to pop on a call with me. I do the free discovery calls or weight loss calls, whatever you want to call them. My website is healthaccountabilitycoach.com. But again, you can find me under Direction Not Perfection on YouTube. You can come watch Joe and I's interviews together. Actually, we only have one released. We have another one coming up soon. And I'm on all podcast channels as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Today was super fun.
You're amazing. And thank you for all the kind words and the time and sharing your community with me. I appreciate you.